Hey guys, it's Lizard here, and in today's video, I'm going to be comparing two of the most popular mice in the entire drag clicking community. The mice I'm talking about are the Roccat Kone Pro and the Bloody A70. Both of these mice are very well known for their ability to drag click an inhuman amount of CPS in a very short amount of time, and help you do things like telebridging, block clutching, and more. And if you do end up enjoying the video, please consider subscribing, it helps out so much. But with that being said, let's get into it. Now of course we're comparing two drag clicking mice, but if you're buying a mouse, you want to know that it's able to do every clicking method well, and that's why first off we're going to take a look at normal clicking, jitter clicking, and butterfly clicking. Normal clicking is super similar on both mice, and you'll probably get somewhere between 5 to 10 CPS, depending on how fast you know how to click. The mouse buttons on the Kone Pro are way easier to press down than on the A70, which has a lot more resistance to each click than the Kone Pro. With that being said, if you don't fully release your finger off the mouse, you will still be able to click on both mice very easily. With that being said, in my opinion, the Kone Pro has a nicer shape for doing things like normal clicking and jitter, and when I'm just casually playing Minecraft, it's way easier to use, the PvP and all that. The Bloody A70 feels a bit chunkier and way less convenient to use when I'm just trying to have fun, but it does have a lot of upsides which I'll get into shortly. So now let's talk about jitter clicking. Jitter clicking is essentially normal clicking, but, well, faster. For both of these mice, you're going to see similar results in CPS, but as I mentioned before, the Kone Pro does have an easier button to press down, so it is a bit easier to get high CPS jitter clicking. But with the A70, if you barely release your finger between each click, you won't feel as much resistance as normal, and this will actually help you get a similar amount of CPS. It'll just be a little bit more difficult. But now let's look at some clicking methods that get you more CPS. For jitter clicking, both of these mice can get you up to over 20 CPS, but the issue I found is that the Kone Pro is actually a lot harder to butterfly click on than the A70. With my A70, I found that my regular butterfly clicking pattern worked super well to get me about 20 CPS on average. However, with the Kone Pro, I found that the mouse wouldn't double click when I butterfly clicked, and therefore I was only getting about 12 to 15. Now this isn't an issue with the mouse itself, this is actually an issue with my butterfly clicking on its own. And if you're really into butterfly clicking and practice it a lot, you'll have no issue getting 20 plus CPS, it's just that my pattern is a little strange. Overall, however, I have to say that the Bloody A70 does feel a little bit nicer for butterfly clicking because the mouse buttons are really large and allow you to fit two fingers on each side really nicely. And unlike the Kone Pro, the A70 has a very defined edge to the mouse, which allows you to hang your finger over it and get a double click way easier. Because the Kone Pro is so round near the edge of the mouse, you're going to have to angle your fingers a little bit differently in order to get those perfect double clicks, which is why butterfly clicking can be a bit weird. Now, honestly, you probably don't care about half of that, and if I had to guess, I'd say you want to hear about how many clicks per second you can get with each of these mice. And if I'm being totally honest, both of these mice are absolutely insane, and I'm going to show you why. For short drag clicking alone on each of these mice, you're able to get anywhere from about 12 to 20 CPS with ease. Both of these mice work super well for short drag clicking, but if I did have to pick a winner, I'd say that the Roccat Kone Pro definitely has a more sensitive mouse button, as I've mentioned, for normal clicking and jitter, and this actually does apply to drag clicking because it makes your short drag super easy, and the mouse doesn't actually move all that much when you're short dragging without holding your hand, which is something that the A70 definitely doesn't do, as it slides quite a bit and gets a little less CPS than the Kone Pro. However, with that being said, both of these mice are super good for short drag clicking, and you'll be able to do all the short drag bridging methods such as god bridge and moonwalk. Now, short drag clicking is cool and all, but honestly, we want to see some high CPS, and for that we're going to need to talk about long drag clicking. Essentially all a long drag click really is sliding your finger from further back along the mouse button, that way your drag click goes for a longer period of time. And this allows you to do things like telebridging and block clutching. Based off my first impressions of each mouse, the Kone Pro seemed to be way easier to drag click with, and I was able to get like 30 to 40 CPS with such little effort that I was actually really confused. With that being said, once I started hitting this point, I wasn't really able to get much higher, and at most I only got about 50. The A70 on the other hand was a little harder to learn how to do a long drag click with, but once I learned how to do it, I was getting about 20 to 30 CPS on average, which is a little below the Kone Pro, but really still good enough overall. However, with a fair amount of practice and a little bit of electrical tape, I've been able to drag click on my A70 up to 60 to 70 CPS, and I've even flying ball clicked over 100 clicks per second. Now, I actually have seen quite a lot more CPS on each of these mice, and the numbers I'm saying are definitely not the maximums. But if you're genuinely interested in a mouse that can click an obscene amount of CPS, the A70 is definitely the way to go, as it has a lot more potential to hit high CPS and actually holds the world record for the most clicks in 1 second. For obvious reasons though, if you're playing Minecraft, you won't really need nearly this much CPS, and you'll be fine with either mouse. The important thing to note is that the Kone Pro has a great surface for drag clicking, and it makes it very easy to get high CPS, whereas the A70's surface runs out after a little bit and you'll need to put on electrical tape or something similar. Both of these mice are really interesting to use, and I've had a lot of fun with both of them, but the feel of the A70 is really just kind of clunky in my opinion, whereas the Kone Pro feels a little bit smoother and more rounded off. The Kone Pro also weighs about 66 grams, which is less than half of the A70's 143 grams, which is super insanely heavy for a mouse, but personally I don't really mind this and I found it helped me keep my mouse stable, but it is something that quite a lot of people actually dislike, in which case you're able to actually remove weights from the mouse to make it a little bit lighter but still fairly heavy. Overall, I have to say that both of these mice are super easy to drag click with, and I've had great experiences with both of them. If you're trying to get into telebridging, either of these mice are very good and useful, but I would lean a little bit towards the Kone Pro, as Roccat mice tend to be a little bit better for bridging. If you're looking for a good mouse for block clutching or MLG rush or something like that, the A70 is definitely the way to go. The mouse buttons on it are really long and it'll help you long drag click so well. But of course, with that being said, the Kone Pro wouldn't be a bad option either, it's just that the mouse button is a bit smaller so the long drag click is shorter. That pretty much concludes my comparison between the Roccat Kone Pro and the bloody A70, so if you guys did enjoy, please do consider subscribing, it helps out so much. And make sure you do join the Discord server down in the description, but with that being said, I really do hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys soon. Goodbye.